Hello everyone, welcome to the Lightning Ball channel. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so and activate the notification bell. Your support fuels my continued efforts. In our last episode, we witnessed the nonsensical rise of hero Masayuki. The voice of the world's favoritism towards Masayuki was unmistakable. Feldway might not have anticipated that his manipulation of Hero Kranoa through the Lord of Justice not only failed to kill Masayuki but also, spurred by Kranoa's beauty, led to the awakening of Masayuki's ultimate ability, Lord of Heroes. Consequently, Scorched Dragon Velgrind found Rudra's reincarnation, Masayuki. After a public display of affection, Velgrind effortlessly annihilated Kornu, one of the 7 angels of origin. In this episode, we will talk about the fight between Dino and the strongest guardian of the labyrinth, Mist Lord Zegion. Let's get started. At the command center of the labyrinth, to protect Ramaris, Beretta and Apito were facing off against Demon Lord Dino. Beretta, serving as the shield and frontliner, with Apito launching attacks from the rear, while Dino, seemingly disengaged from the battle, was quietly chanting a hypnotic skill, his thoughts drifting elsewhere though. Apito criticized Dino for his inattention, despite facing both her and Beretta. Suddenly, Apito unleashed Osiris rapiers from her abdomen. Then, with the speed and strength buff supplied by Beretta, a storm of poison needles spiraled towards Dino. Raising his greatsword Huga overhead and swirling it in a spiral motion, Dino managed to block all the poison needles. However, exploiting a momentary gap in Dino's defense, Beretta closed in, forcing Dino to rapidly retreat to narrowly avoid Beretta's full-force attack. Dino was inwardly bemused, his temporary preoccupation with his chant leading to a challenging fight against the duo, causing him frustration. He believed his strength should have been overwhelming, pondering if his recent laziness was the reason for the deadlock. This moment of self-doubt amidst the battle, yet still having the capacity for such distractions, was enough to showcase that Dino's true strength was far from being fully tapped. Finally, after a long accumulation of energy and while grumbling about being unfairly teamed up against by Beretta and Apito, Dino unleashed his skill, Fallen Hypno, once again. In an instant, an inexplicable drowsiness surged from the depths of Apito's being, rendering her powerless and collapsed on the ground, succumbing to sleep. Dino, assured of his victory upon seeing Apito's state, shifted his gaze towards Beretta only to be met with a sudden punch at the edge of his vision. Startled, Dino quickly dodged, narrowly escaping Beretta's sharp fist. Dino was astonished that Beretta resisted his sleep-inducing skill, with Beretta explaining that having already been subjected to it once, and due to the demonic race's high resistance to status abnormalities, he devised a countermeasure using his unique skill reverser to invert the drowsiness, hence his current state of heightened excitement. Yet Beretta remained calm, planning to kill Apito to revive her and thus remove the sleeping condition. Dino, however, wouldn't grant Beretta that chance, acknowledging Beretta's resilience against him as something to be proud of. Indeed, Dino admitted some admiration for his 2 opponents, thus deciding to further employ his power. Long ago, due to some tragic events, Dino had sealed away this power, but now he had no choice but to unveil it. The voice of the world resonated, confirming the evolution of the Unique Skill Sloth into the ultimate Skill Lord of Sloth through the ultimate Skill Lord of Heaven's power, Creation Evolution. Unique Skill Sloth had a distinct property unlike any other, allowing the storage of energy accumulated during periods of laziness or rest. The more Dino slacked off, the more energy he amassed, enabling the evolution of Sloth into Lord of Sloth, facilitated by another of Dino's ultimate skills, Lord of Heaven. Granted by Star King Dragon Veldanava, Lord of Heaven represented the pinnacle of Dino's strength, with one of its abilities, Creation Evolution, capable of evolving his powers in any desired direction, whether towards different developments or into an ultimate skill, as long as the energy was available. Of course, Dino's temporary evolution of Lord of Sloth was for a reason. In Dino's view, Rimura was a deeply strategic individual, which made him exceedingly cautious, fearing to expose his true abilities. If his power were revealed, it could easily become a target for others. Thus, Dino chose not to use Lord of Heaven but instead created Lord of Sloth, an ability he deemed safe to reveal. Next, Dino raised his left hand and unleashed the power of Lord of Sloth through Fallen Catastrophe, a force invisible yet potent enough to alter the direction of positive and negative factors, assaulting Beretta with a storm that could change the very laws of nature. Evolved from a unique skill, this force no longer merely induced sleep but operated on a deeper level, forcibly shifting its target from a state of activity to stasis. Importantly, it guided the affected into a predetermined end, whether sleep, poisoning, or destruction, effectively exerting absolute dominion over conscious beings. Now, this absolute power targeted Beretta and, in a mere instant, reduced him to dust, along with the resurrection bracelet he wore. Dino irresponsibly quipped that Beretta's death wasn't his fault, well aware that Beretta wouldn't truly die. Given Ramaris's omnipotent authority within the labyrinth, resurrecting Beretta was merely a matter of time. Dino's gaze then shifted towards Ramaris, who remained in deep slumber, seemingly oblivious to the chaos around her. Assured, Dino reached out to touch her, but at that moment, Ramaris dissolved into particles of light, which then morphed into butterflies fluttering around Dino, as if mocking him. Panicked, Dino realized it was an illusion, hard as it was to believe. Just then, footsteps approached from afar, their owner advancing calmly. The surrounding butterflies, as if dancing, flew towards this person's arm and gradually reverted back into particles of light, coalescing into the innocent, sleeping form of Ramaris, who wore a content smile as if she had experienced a pleasant dream. Beretta, now inexplicably revived, respectfully caught her in his hands. Facing Dino stood Miss Lord, Insect Kaiser Zegion, the labyrinth's strongest guardian and the disciple of Storm Dragon Veldora. Before leaving the labyrinth, Veldora had entrusted the protection of Ramaris to his most proud and reliable disciple, ensuring that her defense was impeccable from the beginning. All that had transpired was merely a strategy to draw out the full capabilities of their adversaries. Now, everything was set. Dino found himself exasperated, repeatedly thinking he had defeated the enemy, only for another to emerge. And judging by the newcomer's demeanor, it seemed as if they had effortlessly resolved the situation from the start. Dino realized he had been ensnared in illusions all along, cursing Ramaris for favoring such underhanded tactics. As a bearer of an ultimate skill and a master of hypnotic abilities, for someone like Dino to be caught in an illusion suggested that Zegion was either a master of psychic assaults or also possessed an ultimate skill. Indeed, Zegion had transcended beyond such thresholds. The Zegion now confronting Dino was not only a super-awakened being but his aura also conveyed boundless power, a signature only those with ultimate skills could emit. Dino sighed, having lost the will to continue the fight and already pondering ways to escape. Facing a contemplative Dino, Zegion approached with unruffled ease. Dino cursed Zegion for his cowardice, hiding until Dino had showed his true power. Yet Zegion remained indifferent, asserting that this was the nature of battle. As Dino continued to complain, Zegion coolly invited him to attack. Zegion's invitation only added to Dino's pressure. After all, Dino was one of the Octagram Demon Lords, and losing to one of Ramaris' subordinates seemed disgraceful. Without delay, Dino raised his sword overhead and lunged at Zegion with a powerful strike. Known for his sloth, Dino bypassed any intricate skills, opting instead for a lethal blow, fallen strike. In the past, he had infused Sloth's power into his swordsmanship, creating the phantom flow style that could disrupt an opponent's perception. Now, with Sloth evolved into the ultimate Skill Lord of Sloth, the precision and power of phantom flow style, and its secret technique Fallen Strike, were enhanced. The strike was designed to drain life force upon contact, combining immense physical force with waves of negative emotions, overwhelming for the faint-hearted. Even if dodged, the residual waves from Fallen Strike could still debilitate the target, sapping their will to fight. Dino was particularly pleased with this attack, confident not even Guy could withstand it head-on, let alone Zegion. Dino smirked confidently. However, Zegion stood still, letting Dino's sword approach without moving, and at the last moment, raised his left hand, catching the great sword Huga with his exoskeleton now transformed into ultimate metal. Dino was elated, seeing someone foolish enough to directly face his fallen strike, convinced he had secured victory. He assumed Zegion had underestimated him, thinking the usually lazy Dino wouldn't start with his strongest move, and therefore had recklessly tried to block it with his hand. Dino scrutinized Zegion, noting that although his left hand hadn't shattered, it must have been severely damaged. On the other side, Zegion, who caught the strike single-handedly, appeared infuriatingly calm, as if to suggest that such an attack was feeble. However, Dino seemed to have the upper hand. As he pointed out, his fallen strike was not merely a physical attack. Zegion's exoskeleton, no matter how strong, couldn't block the real mental attack imbued in the strike. Dino, aware of Zegion's melee combat prowess, deliberately used this mixed technique to deceive Zegion. The sword emitted waves of death, enveloping Zegion and gradually draining his life. Simultaneously, Zegion's body began to disintegrate, seemingly about to vanish into light and dissipate. Dino shook his head, disregarding Zegion to approach Beretta, planning to seize Ramaris while Zegion hadn't yet revived. However, upon seeing Beretta, Dino halted, puzzled by Beretta's confidence despite being significantly weaker. Dino questioned whether Beretta thought he could win. Beretta, with a smile, said that Dino's real opponent wasn't him. At that moment, Dino felt a chill. He turned towards Zegion, finding him motionless yet not transformed into light, meaning Zegion hadn't perished. Zegion, with disdain, asked if Dino's attack was supposed to have delayed damage, or if Dino seriously thought such a feeble strike could defeat him. Dino inwardly cursed, now convinced Zegion did possess an ultimate skill. Zegion remarked that if Dino doubted his possession of an ultimate skill, he should have launched a relentless assault instead of such weak attacks, pointing out Dino's slothful nature as the cause of his failure. Zegion then unleashed his martial technique, Dimension Ray, from his outstretched hand. Dino barely managed to dodge, sustaining a wound on his right arm. Frustrated and unable to understand why his strongest psychic attack, Fallen Thanatos, was nullified by Zegion, Dino struggled to accept that all his mental attacks were ineffective against him. Zegion, without holding back, declared that the realm of dreams, or the mystic, was his domain. Having received the title of Mist Lord from Rimuru-sama, Zegion was the king of fantasy. To Zegion, mental attacks were futile. Zegion's casual explanation was a display of his merciful attitude towards the weaker. Dino was astounded by the revelation that his ultimate skill was rendered ineffective, indicating Zegion's ultimate skill were far superior. Furthermore, Zegion, previously known for his close combat prowess, had reached a realm where he could construct a world of his own, making him an opponent Dino could not hope to defeat unprepared. Dino realized that the mission to abduct Ramaris was doomed from the moment Zegion had completed his evolution. At that moment, the command center screen displayed the situation on Masayuki's battlefield. Velgrind, who was supposed to be under control, appeared in the labyrinth and instantly killed Dino's ally Cornu. This added to Dino's confusion, but regardless, the battle could no longer continue. Dino, who had no desire to fight from the beginning, was even more eager to escape. However, Zegion wouldn't give him that chance, unleashing his unique technique, Dimension Storm. From the start, Dino was trapped within Zegion's illusory world, meaning escape was impossible. Dino knew that if he used his hidden ultimate skill, there might be a sliver of hope for victory, but he chose to gamble instead. A colorful storm engulfed Dino, and after it dissipated, he was supposed to have been completely eradicated, leaving not even a piece of flesh behind. Yet Zegion knew Dino's prayer had been effective, acknowledging Dino's luck with a sense of admiration. The sound of a resurrection ring breaking was heard, and Dino's presence re-emerged, but Zegion remained terrifyingly calm, for even this development was within his expectations. Dino muttered to himself, having wagered and won, seemingly by chance. Though fallen at his core, he was still an angel, and his luck hadn't abandoned him. Waking up outside the labyrinth, Dino murmured a word of surprise before checking his condition. His equipment was intact, his body unharmed, only the resurrection bracelet on his wrist was damaged. Dino marveled at Zegion's monstrous transformation, deducing that something dreadful must have also transformed the other labyrinth executives. He concluded that Feldway's plan had utterly failed. Dino reflected on his aversion to work, now comprehending the situation and dreading his future. With this hostile turn of events, returning to the Monster Federation was no longer an option. For Dino, life in the labyrinth had been ideal, requiring minimal effort for sustenance, and he had formed bonds with its inhabitants. The abrupt departure filled him with a tinge of sorrow, realizing there was no turning back. Shaking his head, Dino lamented his hatred for work and hastily set off to locate his companions. Alright, that's all for this video. To add, Dino's Lord of Sloth failed to manifest its full potential because Dino didn't utilize the ultimate skill correctly. In fact, the lazier Dino is, the stronger Lord of Sloth becomes, making transferring its energy to others the optimal use. Furthermore, employing its mental attacks depletes Dino's energy, weakening his subsequent assaults. It's also conceivable that Dino didn't intend to destroy the labyrinth or abduct Ramaris seriously. His haphazard use of skills stemmed from a profound reluctance to exert his true strength. In our next episode, we will witness the grand finale of the labyrinth siege. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support is greatly appreciated. See you in the next one.